This is BBC Television. William Hartnell stars next in Doctor Who. Viewers who miss this programme tonight may find themselves waiting 18 years for another chance.
Doctor Who is now one of the most rewatched television programmes ever made. Episodes from its 60-plus year history are available on demand worldwide. But for years, rewatching Doctor Who was almost impossible. So just how exactly did we get from no repeats at all to the Whoniverse? Back in 1963, television wasn't archived, it wasn't preserved, it wasn't valued as something we would want to see again. Doctor Who, a fledgling BBC production, was certainly no exception. It was broadcast once and then it was gone. Although the very first episode did get repeated just a week after it was shown. Due to the news coverage of the assassination of American President John F. Kennedy, the launch of the new children's science fiction programme went largely unnoticed. So the BBC made an unusual decision. They repeated episode 1 before episode 2 went out the following Saturday, truncating Grandstand by 10 minutes and pushing the Telegoons out completely. That single repeat would stand alone for 5 years, and it would be a long time before viewers had a second chance to rewatch any episode they had missed. William Hartnell regenerated into Patrick Troughton, companions came and went, and it was time for a new female companion to join the Time Lord. At the end of the Wheel in Space, Zoe wants to join the Doctor and Jamie on board the TARDIS. The Doctor dons a headset and decides,
I'm going to show Zoe the sort of thing that she may be in for.
Cue the Daleks.
Who are you? Answer!
For the following 7 Saturdays, we could rewatch The Evil of the Daleks again. An ingenious idea to bridge some of the gap between seasons in 1968. This was the only story to be repeated in the 1960s. No second chances, miss it and it was gone. By the end of the 60s, 253 episodes had been seen, but only 8 had been seen a second time. It would be another 11 years before any black and white episodes would be seen again in public. By 1970, Doctor Who was going through a complete change. Broadcast in colour, a third actor in the lead role, and new titles for a new era. There was a reduction in the number of episodes per year, meaning that instead of the show being on air for 10 months of the year, there was now a 6-month gap. After John Pertwee's second season, Spearhead from Space became the first ever story to be broadcast outside of its Saturday slot, when it was repeated in full on BBC One on Friday evenings in July 1971. Based on the success of those repeats, The Demons was condensed into a 90-minute special. Barry Letts had the job of trimming 20 minutes from the 5 original episodes, and shown after Christmas. It was billed in Radio Times for the first time a complete adventure in one programme.
Doctor Who triumphs over his old adversary, the Master, and it's time for complete in one programme.
This special achieved a higher audience than its original broadcast. Christmas became Doctor Who's second life.
Today at 3:05 on BBC One, Doctor Who and the Sea Devils, the complete adventure in one programme.
We're abandoning ship. We're abandoning ship. Our position is...
Don't underestimate the Doctor. Do you really believe that he came here to see me?
Why else?
Vanishing ships, of course.
Oh, I don't think so. No, he didn't seem particularly interested when I mentioned it.
You did what?
It's coming towards us.
Stop, we're friends! Stop! Hickman, he's dead. They killed him. From the sea devil.
The complete adventure of Doctor Who and the Sea Devils on BBC One today at 3:05.
The Green Death was shown the following Christmas, and in 1974, the day before Tom Baker took over.
Tomorrow afternoon on BBC One, a complete Doctor Who adventure starring John Pertwee as the intrepid Doctor in Planet of the Spiders.
Well, this package, sir, just arrived by express post. I think it might be urgent.
Well, let's take a look. Oh, now, wait a minute. I got a better idea. Mr. Clegg, would you like to tell us what's inside this package?
This has come a long way.
Lord, not that stone of yours.
The crystal from Metebelis 3. Now listen to me, Sarah. This is very important. Tell me the whole story, right from the beginning.
So, if the giant spiders on Metebelis 3 wanted that crystal back...
For there aren't any giant spiders on Metebelis 3. At least there weren't any when I was there.
Planet of the Spiders, a complete Doctor Who adventure, is tomorrow afternoon at 2:45 on BBC One.
Day of the Daleks was edited down to just 60 minutes and was shown in September 1973. And an unscheduled repeat was shown on the 27th of May 1974.
There's a special Doctor Who adventure on Monday morning at 11:15. In place of the published programme, you can see a complete adventure, Doctor Who and the Sea Devils, in which the Doctor comes face to face with the Master and the strange creatures from the bottom of the sea. Doctor Who and the Sea Devils on Monday morning at 11:15 here on BBC One.
A strike had prevented live coverage of bank holiday sport, in this case a cricket match between Yorkshire and Lancashire. William Hartnell died on the 23rd of April 1975. At the time of his death, none of his episodes had been seen again since their first broadcast. Just as the Doctor changed face again into a more unpredictable Time Lord, so did the repeats become more sporadic and unpredictable too, a time when you really needed a copy of the Radio Times. 10 days before the start of Tom Baker's second series, we were treated to an omnibus edition of The Ark in Space during the summer holidays of 1975. The Christmas specials came to an end that year with Genesis of the Daleks.
Doctor Who will be back in a fortnight with a complete adventure in one programme, Genesis of the Daleks. That's in 2 weeks' time, on Saturday the 27th of December at 3 o'clock on BBC One.
1976 would be a good year for repeats though, with the new summer slot showings of Planet of Evil and the Sontaran Experiment.
This week, BBC One presents a season of Doctor Who. Starting at 6:35 tonight, a 4-part story, Planet of Evil. and a threat from a terrifying antimatter force. And on Friday, a complete story, the Sontaran experiment, and a dreaded adversary strikes again. The Perilous Adventures of Doctor Who, each night this week on BBC One.
Season 14 was split after the departure of Sarah Jane and the Doctor's encounter with the Master on Gallifrey. An opportunity then for condensed versions of the Pyramids of Mars and the Brain of Morbius.
A complete Doctor Who adventure, the Pyramids of Mars. There's another complete Doctor Who adventure at 5:50 next Saturday, the Brain of Morbius.
The repeats continued, mainly during the summer, during the Fourth Doctor's era, racking up another 40 repeated episodes. In 1966, Century 21 Records released a long-playing 7-inch vinyl with excerpts from episode 6 of The Chase.
The tale I have to unfold is like a dream, a fantastic nightmare. As you sit in your comfortable, familiar surroundings listening to my story, you may feel it could never have happened. But to Doctor Who and his friends, it was very real.
And then, in October 1979, we finally got a full story we could listen to at any time.
I stepped from the TARDIS onto a bleak planet. All around, the ground was ravaged. No vegetation. Banks of chilling fog swirling through the air. Why had I been brought here?
Ah. Welcome, Doctor.
We could now listen to Genesis of the Daleks, narrated by Tom Baker on LP, but we still couldn't watch it when we wanted to.
Time then to look at the all-time top 10 repeats, which are all from the 1970s. At number 10, Planet of the Spiders Omnibus, broadcast 27th December 1974.
Good grief.
Number 9 is The Sea Devils Omnibus, shown 27th December 1972, with slightly more viewers than its original broadcast. At number 8, The Androids of Tara, episode 4, from 30th of August 1979, again slightly more viewers. The Robots of Death, episodes 1 and 2, is at number 7, shown New Year's Eve in 1977. At 6, The Androids of Tara, episode 2, repeated 16th of August 1979. At 5, The Green Death Omnibus, shown 27th December 1973, with 2.7 million more viewers than its original broadcast. At 4, The Androids of Tara, episode 3, from 23rd of August 1979, with 1.5 million additional viewers. The Demons Omnibus, from 28th December 1971, is at number 3, with an extra 2 more million viewers watching it this time around. Number 2 is The Brain of Morbius Omnibus, broadcast 4th December 1976, with 1 million more viewers. And at number 1, Pyramids of Mars Omnibus, repeated 27th November 1976, with 3 million more viewers watching than when it was first shown.
You will not die yet.
In the all-time viewing chart for Doctor Who, Pyramids of Mars Omnibus sits at number 6. The 5 episodes ahead of it were all broadcast in autumn 1979, when ITV was off the air during an 11-week strike. With only BBC channels available, audiences were unusually high. City of Death Part 4 reached 16.1 million viewers, but once the strike ended, the following week's story, The Creature from the Pit, dropped sharply to 9.3 million. Without those strike-inflated audiences, the omnibus repeat of Pyramids of Mars would have been the most watched programme of Doctor Who of all time, as it was when it was broadcast in 1976. Even so, the repeat still ranked number 7 in the UK television ratings for the week, with roughly a quarter of the UK population tuning in. It stands as one of the largest audiences ever recorded for a repeat broadcast in the UK. In 1978, Sue Malden became BBC's archive selector and catalogued what was left of Doctor Who after the now infamous systematic wiping of videotape. It was grim reading in the Doctor Who Winter Special 1981 when it first became clear in a 6-page interview with Sue Malden what was actually left. But it will be this single page that will live in the memories of older fans forever. Seeing the word none so many times was hard to take in. For the first time, it showed the true extent of the unknown destruction by the BBC. For those of us who didn't already know, it was truly heartbreaking. The archive had been devastated, with 136 episodes completely missing and 48 Jon Pertwee episodes only existing in black and white. Even episode 1 of Pertwee's Invasion of the Dinosaurs was destroyed after it was mistaken for Troughton's Invasion. Of those episodes listed missing, only the 7 of the Evil of the Daleks had ever been repeated, but like this Dalek, they had also gone. The chances of rewatching these wiped adventures suddenly seemed impossible. We sadly add missing episodes to our counter.
Starting in 2 weeks on BBC Two, The 5 Faces of Doctor Who looks back in time to previous journeys of the TARDIS, calling at Logopolis.
Father! It's not your father. Trimus is dead, murdered by him, the Master.
This... You killed my father.
But his body remains useful. Without it, I could not have conquered Logopolis.
This is not conquest, it's devastation.
It's nothing more than a blanket of silence.
Which is killing the Logopolitans and turning them to dust.
You expect me to believe?
Yes! You are destroying everything.
Carnival of Monsters presents the Doctor with destruction of a different kind.
Well, if these scope things were banned, how come we're inside one?
I don't know. Officially, they are all called in and destroyed.
Somehow this one was missed.
It looks like it. The TARDIS must have materialized. He must have materialized in his compression field.
So, here we are, all cosily wrapped up with the other specimens.
Yeah, but not for long, Joe. We'll soon get out of here.
Will we? Seems to me we have a choice of being shot by those idiots on the ship or eaten by those horrors out there.
Oh, look at this. They're following the Tellurians.
I should have thought of that. The Dressigs never leave a scent, not with a meal at the end of it.
But if they can get out of their circuit vault, anything can happen. They might even escape from the scope.
Keep your voice down, girl. We're in trouble enough as it is.
Doctor!
Come on, Joe. It's time we got out of here.
The Crotons attempt to prevent the Doctor's escape by destroying the TARDIS.
You will destroy the TARDIS machine. Direction point. Radius 41, Vector 2.
Can't it see?
Apparently not in the light. It was dark in the machine, wasn't it?
Look, it's moving now.
Yes.
It's going towards the TARDIS.
Yes, it's being directed by the machine's scanners.
The TARDIS?
Yes.
Well, now what shall we do?
An unearthly child is the very first appearance of the Doctor.
That is it. The point is not whether you understand what is going to happen to you. So tell everybody about the ship now.
Ship?
Yes, Chip. This doesn't roll along on wheels, you know.
You mean it moves? The TARDIS can go anywhere. TARDIS? I don't understand you, Susan. Well, I made up the name TARDIS from the initials, time and relative dimension in space. I thought you'd both understand when you saw the different dimensions inside from those outside.
Let me get this straight. A thing that looks like a police box standing in a junkyard, it can move anywhere in time and space?
Yes.
Quite so.
But that's ridiculous.
And once, the three doctors attempted to work together.
Now, what's a bridge for, eh?
Well, crossing?
Right. So stop dilly-dallying and cross it.
Wait! You faded him again.
I did not
Yes,
fade
you
it. You
certainly
saw
didn't.
it.
You
He faded
I
it.
hate to ask, but who was that?
Me!
The Doctor returns in 5 complete adventures over 5 weeks, running from Monday to Thursday, beginning with the first episode of the first ever Doctor Who. You can join the Doctor in the TARDIS at 5:40 on Monday, November the 2nd on BBC Two.
Peter Davison's first season was delayed from the regular autumn time to a new schedule at the beginning of January 1982, which left an unusually long 9-month gap between series. John Nathan Turner, series producer at the time, wanted to show new and young fans of the show there had been more actors that had played the Doctor other than the long-standing Tom Baker. So to fill the gap and fulfil Turner's ideal, BBC Two announced something unprecedented, something nobody was expecting, a full season of Doctor Who repeats. Not just recent episodes, as had been the policy, but stories going all the way back to the start in 1963 and not seen since their original broadcast. 20 episodes over 5 weeks with all 5 Doctors.
New look to Monday afternoons on BBC Two, beginning tomorrow at 3:55 with Betty Davis playing twins in the star movie A Stolen Life. And there's the first ever Doctor Who with William Hartnell.
Have you ever thought what it's like to be wanderers in the 4th dimension? Have you? To be exiles? Susan and I are cut off from our own planet, without friends or protection. But one day, we shall get back.
From star movie to living in the past, there's a new look to Monday afternoons beginning tomorrow on BBC Two.
The tension mounted as we prepared for the very first episode. Not seen for 18 years, it was truly a magical moment.
Here on 2, we start The 5 Faces of Doctor Who with William Hartnell in part 1 of the first ever Doctor Who story dating from November 1963.
It was a massive undertaking and gamble by the BBC, who were only allowed 36 hours of repeat viewing a year. But it paid off. It was the moment that Doctor Who proved it was worth revisiting. The season was a success, with an average of 5 million viewers.
Programmes on BBC One for Monday night. At 7:20, Doctor Who and the Monsters, starring John Pertwee and Katie Manning in the first of a 2-part adventure, The Curse of Peladon.
It was so well received that John Nathan Turner organised a second, shorter season the following summer, entitled Doctor Who and the Monsters. Unfortunately, there was to be no black and white episodes, and Genesis of the Daleks got its 3rd showing. But it was another chance to see John Pertwee and the Ice Warriors in The Curse of Peladon.
And later tonight, Doctor Who and the Monsters, the first of a 2-part adventure, The Curse of Peladon.
Foremost from the King's enemies is the chairman delegate from Earth. The one they call the Doctor.
What's that?
Sounds like an alarm. Come on.
Alarms and excursions for John Pertwee and Katie Manning in Doctor Who and the Monsters, tonight at 7:20 on BBC One.
During 1982, after Sue Malden's appeal for lost material to be returned, Doctor Who episodes did start to return to the archive. Episode 6 of The Reign of Terror and Episode 2 of The Abominable Snowmen were returned by private collectors. Episode 1 of The Invasion of the Dinosaurs was returned in June 1983, and Episodes 5 and 10 of the epic Daleks Master Plan were discovered in a church in July 1983. As we headed towards the 20th anniversary in 1983, the gulf between broadcast episodes and those we'd seen again was growing, and some episodes had been repeated over 10 years ago. How were we ever going to be able to watch the 334 unrepeated remaining episodes still in the archive?
Yes, of course, madam. This is a news flash. Can anybody identify the following faces? The BBC would like to congratulate you on your good taste. Obviously, you know what you like. Video tasties from the BBC and from any video shop, even the one around the corner. Well, don't just sit there. Enjoy yourselves. There's plenty more where these came from.
By 1983, the home video recorder was beginning to be affordable to buy or rent, and suddenly 10% of UK homes had one. As early as 1981, Doctor Who magazine told us that BBC Enterprises were planning to release Doctor Who on video.
The parents of Alan Wakefield from Clapham, South London, have recently bought a videotape recorder, and Alan has asked if there are any videotapes of Doctor Who stories commercially available. At present, the answer is no. The video sales division of BBC Enterprises is only just getting underway, and legal problems with copyright clearance are still to be overcome before popular programmes like Doctor Who and Fawlty Towers may be sold. However, BBC Enterprises are confident agreement will not be far away, and among the first batch of programmes to go on sale will be a 1.5-hour edited version of The Invasion of Time, the Sontaran story set on Gallifrey from 1978.
And there is now a BBC video, Doctor Who, The Revenge of the Cybermen, available from video dealers.
In October 1983, the Tom Baker story, Revenge of the Cybermen, was released. The tape featured a full-length omnibus-style format, with just one set of titles and credits. It was the first time this story could have been watched again since its broadcast in 1975. The cost, however, was prohibitive at £39.95p, roughly £150 today. However, video rental shops were abundant, and higher cost was a fraction of the purchase price at about £1 per day. But importantly, this was the first time fans could own or rent a full story to be played on demand at home. It was also a time when we could record and watch back episodes shown on TV. For our counter, we'll include anything broadcast from January 1983 as rewatched. And in July 1984, The Brain of Morbius was released in a heavily edited version lasting just 59 minutes.
Incidentally, the latest Doctor Who adventure, The Brain of Morbius, starring Tom Baker, is currently available on a BBC video cassette. For details of your nearest stockist, you can ring 01200 0200.
BBC TV repeats were coming to an end. The Five Doctors would be the last time any Doctor Who would be repeated during its classic era in summer 1984.
Now, the final part of BBC One's adventure for The Five Doctors.
There was good news on the missing episodes hunt. By the end of 1984, another 5 episodes had been returned. The home video era had started, but on TV we were back to square one. No chance of rewatching, and at the rate videotapes were being released, it would take more than a lifetime to own them all. But it was going to get a whole lot worse. Despite the Doctor having regenerated twice since Tom Baker, another of his stories, Pyramids of Mars, was the third home video release in February 1985. Meanwhile, on screen, Colin Baker was fighting off the Rani, the Master, and BBC One controller Michael Grade.
Television's Time Lord is to take a rest. The BBC have announced that Doctor Who will be off the air for 18 months. But there's already been an outcry from Doctor Who fans who've called the news staggering. The controller of BBC One, Michael Grade, made the decision a month before the new series was due to start production.
No, when I was controller of BBC One, I cancelled the show. I thought it was rubbish.
During the hiatus, several more stories were released on home video.
There's a choice of 6 Doctor Who adventures available on BBC Video.
6 further missing episodes were returned from Nigeria, completing the Time Meddler and the War Machines in the archive. Finally, the delayed 23rd season of Doctor Who, The Trial of a Time Lord, started in September 1986. Little did Colin Baker know he was on trial, and this would be his last appearance. During this run, in November, BBC Video started re-releasing Doctor Who, drastically reduced in price to a budget cost of £9.99, but still a little expensive at today's price equivalent of £30. But this was a bleak time for Doctor Who fans. Airtime halved, no repeats, only one budget video release, and 6 other stories to rent if they had survived the constant use from the video shop. Little wonder then that the show had lost a third of its viewers for this latest season, and Michael Grade had the ammunition to end the show completely. There was more gloom with the announcement of Patrick Troughton's death in March 1987.
The actor Patrick Troughton, best known as BBC Television's Doctor Who, has died. He was 67. He was the second Doctor, taking over the role in November 1966. Patrick Troughton had a heart attack while attending a Doctor Who convention in America with other stars of the series.
Unlike William Hartnell, Troughton would have rewatched 2 of his stories before his death.
First, it's time once again for the TARDIS to take off, transporting Doctor Who on a brand new adventure.
There was a glimmer of hope, seeing some more old episodes, when ITV-backed Super Channel launched in January 1987.
There'll be BBC programmes like Doctor Who.
This new channel was broadcast across Europe via satellite and into homes via the ever-growing cable network. But only about 90,000 lucky households in the UK were able to watch the first repeat of Tom Baker in Robot in March 1987.
Tonight on Super Channel, through space and time, Doctor Who takes on some of his deadliest enemies.
How do the Daleks fail?
That is a question that the future must keep secret.
Journey into that future with Doctor Who, tonight at 6:30.
Those watching on Christmas Day morning in 1987 saw some interesting titles. These repeats only continued as far as Horror of Fang Rock, as the channel was sold on. As the audience was very limited, I've included these separately on our rewatch counter. 2 Patrick Troughton episodes were returned in 1987, The Faceless Ones Part 3 and The Evil of the Daleks Part 2. Season 24 opened in September 1987, without Colin Baker reprising his role to regenerate into Sylvester McCoy. With the no repeat policy in place, BBC Video were now plugging the gap. Death to the Daleks and Spearhead from Space were released in July 1987 and February 1988.
And you can join the Good Doctor in 3 more adventures: The Seeds of Death, Pyramids of Mars and Death to the Daleks on these BBC videos, which cost only £9.99 each.
There was more good news with missing episodes. 4 episodes of The Ice Warriors were ironically found at BBC Enterprises. Season 25 began in October 1988 and celebrated the show's 25th anniversary. BBC Video made 2 more Tom Baker stories available to buy in November. Fan favourites The Talons of Weng Chiang and Terror of the Zygons joined the now growing catalogue.
And you'll find that you, too, can travel in time through a whole range of his adventures with just a little help from your local shop that sells BBC Video.
However, Australia had already seen these, with both released on video there 18 months earlier. The fans had spoken in numbers about their dislike of the edited versions.
The video of the brain of Morbius has been attacked by the Doctor's greatest enemy, who we last saw in Jenny Scissors of the Daleks. Do we mean the Daleks? Or Davros? No, we mean that plague that has the effect on a story of warping approximately 2 episodes into the mysterious time vortex known as the BBC Dustbin. Yes, the scissors are back! Once again we hear that terrifying cry of degenerate. Will the Doctor be able to track down the scissors before they strike again? Or will the Doctor be captured by his foe and then meet a fate worse than that, to be erased from the tape? What is the scissors' next aim? The Scissorites? The Massa Scissors? The Amber Scissors of Death? Or even the Le Scissor Hive? Tune in next week for another thrilling episode, unless the scissors get there first. Alistair.
BBC Video had listened, and in June 1989, the first video featuring full, unedited episodes was released.
A Treat for Whovians is now available on BBC Videos with a range of classic episodes from futures past.
26 years after its only broadcast, all 7 episodes of The Daleks were now available to view again across the first double tape release. It's thanks to the efforts of superfan Ian Levine and his efforts to save Doctor Who episodes from being junked in the late 1970s that this story was saved.
Back in 1978, when we were looking for Doctor Who episodes, there was a rumour going around that there were loads of them held by BBC Enterprises. I walked in and I saw this first Dalek story about to be junked, and I felt a mixture of both horror and elation. I think the horror took over, so I threw an absolute fit. And he found out the woman at BBC Enterprises who was in charge of destroying these prints. We went running into her office, and she says, yeah, no one wants them, they're just all black and white prints. And I got really agitated, and I said, I want them. I've just got clearance from the BBC to buy these episodes, and suddenly here I am, and they're being destroyed.
The Time Warrior and The Ark in Space were also released at the same time. Season 26 and the end of the classic era ended on the 6th of December 1989. But by far the greatest news so far about repeat showings of Doctor Who came with the launch of the newly created British Satellite Broadcasting Company, which launched on the very limited regional cable TV on 25th of March 1990. One of their 5 channels, Galaxy, had acquired rights to show Doctor Who right from the beginning. However, their satellite service, using the Marco Polo satellite, didn't start until the end of April, preventing new Squarial owners from watching An Unearthly Child. Sky TV had begun broadcasting the previous year, and many potential customers were still deciding between the 2 companies. For Doctor Who fans, there was no decision, BSB was always going to be the choice for the chance to see episodes not seen for 36 years.
Enjoy the best in science fiction fun with great series like the first Doctor Who every Saturday and Sunday afternoon.
Major, at 45 miles south of mining area.
So when you've lost your left ear and maybe your right ear too, don't worry, for the Galaxy Club will bring you the final frontier.
Over the coming weeks, An Unearthly Child, The Daleks, The Dalek Invasion of Earth, and The Web Planet were aired.
Well, Doctor Who and his companions must escape from the Daleks, but is it possible? You can find out after the break.
But frustration came when the weekly episodes came to an end in early September. Were we only going to get to see 4 stories on Galaxy?
Doctor Who here, to transport you through time to the weekend of the 23rd and the 22nd of September, when you will be able to see some of my greatest adventures.
A thing that looks like a police box standing in a junkyard. It can move anywhere in time and space.
Have you ever thought what it's like to be wanderers in the 4th dimension? There's a strong force at work somewhere which is threatening my ship.
Look, nobody is going to rescue me. Least of all an abominable snowman.
What's the matter?
Look!
That's it, Victoria. Oh. Hold on, whatever you do, hold on! Soldier! Our battalion's dead. Do you hear me? I, Yartek, am in control now. Kill him.
You will be exterminated!
In every one of these time zones, thousands of human beings fought and died in the belief that they were on their own planet.
Do something, Cully! We're going to crash!
Quickly, Cully! Jamie, the doctor!
Hold tight, everyone!
You will face the wrath of Omega.
Doctor! Look!
You will be robotized!
Daleks!
Get set to be beamed up to the 4th dimension with Doctor Who for exciting time-travelling adventures on the weekend of the 22nd and 23rd of September on Galaxy, the entertainment channel.
It's 9 o'clock. Good morning. You're watching Galaxy, the entertainment channel. We're very proud now to present for the first time anywhere on British TV a Doctor Who weekend.
A weekend to remember, with both films, 10 complete stories, 53 episodes, of which a massive 18 had previously been unseen since broadcast.
The two satellite television companies, Sky and BSB, have merged. The two companies have confirmed that they've been holding talks, and an announcement is expected later tonight that they will now form British Sky Broadcasting.
The Galaxy channel closed, and once again Doctor Who wasn't on any TV schedules. During 1990 and 1991, video releases exploded as production costs became cheaper. BBC Video also found a way to exploit orphaned episodes. In June of 1991, both the Hartnell years and the Troughton years were released, which included 3 odd episodes on each tape.
evening, party people. Being a copper, you see some strange things. I mean, take the phone box. It used to stand behind me here. Disappeared one day, nicked by a bloke called Doctor Who. Quite annoying, really, had me sandwiches in it. Understand this Doctor Who's played by an actor called William Hartnell. Sounds like a dress designer to me. Still, takes all sorts.
On BBC Two, as part of their Lime Grove story afternoon on the 26th of August, the pilot episode was broadcast, the first time it had ever been shown by the BBC, 28 years after it was recorded. "1992 would be a vintage year for rewatching Doctor Who.
Returning to planet Earth tomorrow.
I think we're beginning to materialize.
Doctor Who, a legend in his own time, introducing a season of his most daring exploits, a retrospective study of the Time Lord in all his incarnations. Resistance is useless at 6:50, followed by episode 1 of The Time Meddler, tomorrow on 2.
They are to be exterminated. You understand?
He's got to be stopped. He must be stopped.
It's the eve of the Battle of Hastings, but someone has alternative plans.
You know as well as I do the golden rule about space and time traveling. Never, never interfere with the course of history.
Some kind of neutron bomb, I think.
Pretty unpleasant looking things, whatever they are.
So that's it! You're a time meddler. No wonder you wanted to get rid of me.
Will the Doctor win? Watch Doctor Who tonight at 6:50 on 2.
It was followed by The Time Meddler.
Friday at 6:50 on BBC Two.
This series continued with The Mind Robber and The Sea Devils.
John Pertwee as Doctor Who, tomorrow at 6:50 on 2.
Danger. Do not attempt to open this pod.
Generations of Time Lords have battled to contain the galaxy's most fearsome forces of evil.
Exterminate! Exterminate!
But the pod in which they are held is breaking up, and time capsules known as home videos are being released into the Earth's atmosphere.
The Daleks will go on!
It is your duty as a citizen of this solar system to track down these capsules and neutralize them through your VCR. Many modules are already circulating, and further releases are imminent. You have the power to protect your universe.
There were no less than 15 video releases that year. These included Daleks and Cybermen The Early Years, more opportunities to use orphaned episodes from the archive. But the real excitement was the return of The Tomb of the Cybermen from Hong Kong. The 4 episodes were quickly slotted into the release schedule, and fans were able to watch this lost story from 1967 once again. Tomb of the Cybermen became the first Doctor Who title to top the video sales chart, even outselling Sigourney Weaver in Aliens. There was more excitement in November 1992 when BBC Studios launched a new channel.
And the Doctor returns, travelling through time and space to fight the enemies of the universe in the BBC classic Doctor Who, which will be shown from its very first episode.
I have betrayed the future. Davros, for the last time, consider what you're doing.
It wasn't long before we got to see Planet of the Giants, The Rescue, The Romans, The Sensorites, The Ark and The Gunfighters, the first time these had been seen since their first broadcast. The restoration team had recently been formed and had been working on restoring colour back to several John Pertwee stories that had only survived as black and white copies in the archive.
The Daemons, a timeless programme, the repeats of which we should have been enjoying ever since. But sadly for Doctor Who fans, the demons were never seen again. Until now. This week it will be revived for the first time in nearly 20 years thanks to a tidy piece of detective work and the wonders of modern television technology. The story continues in the mid-70s when the BBC wiped a whole lot of videotapes of programmes like Tomorrow's World and Doctor Who. Slight lapse of judgment, I think, there. And all that was left of the demons was this. It's a black and white version which had been recorded on film to sell to countries where tape was not yet used. Well, the colour version, it seemed, was lost forever. But Doctor Who fans are a persevering lot. One in particular made it his mission to collect the entire Doctor Who archive. So when the programme was shown in the States, he arranged for it to be recorded at a friend's home. With a domestic tape like this, the picture was there, but the quality, well, it wasn't really.
Yeah, that's quite all right. We don't want to.
Now, that doesn't look too bad, but the detail really isn't good enough for transmission. Now, every TV picture can be split into two parts. A black and white image containing the light and shade in the picture, and another containing the colour. The idea was to take the high-quality black and white version, combine it with the colour from the American tape by running the two pictures simultaneously, and recording the result. And this is the final version.
Time for all these unnecessary questions.
All the time in the world.
And you should be able to see the difference because you can now compare it with the original American tape, which is on the right, and the new version's on the left, which I'm sure you'll agree is much better.
Perfectly simple inquiry. What's the matter with you all?
You're making all the fuss, old man.
Fuss? I've never heard such bull.
Well, the first episode of the regenerated Doctor Who series will be shown on BBC Two this Friday.
Eureka!
Just when you thought it was safe to come out from behind the sofa, he's back. Television's favourite Time Lord will reappear on your screen in the classic Doctor Who adventure, The Demons, starting this Friday at 7:15 on BBC Two.
This was the first time Doctor Who appeared in TV listings on the same day on different channels.
This week's new adventure for Doctor Who.
You know, there's something alien about that tower. I can sense it. Are you seriously telling me, sir, that you have invented a machine that can think?
Yes.
Machines cannot govern man. I will not. I wonder. I wonder.
Doctor Who and the War Machine. This week's new story. Weekdays at 5:30 on UK Gold.
While UK Gold were completing their run of Hartnell stories in January 1993, BBC Two resumed their repeat run, which included Revelation of the Daleks and Battlefield. By 1993, BBC Video were getting more adventurous with their output. 21 stories were released, which included a twin tape of the invasion, with Nicholas Courtney providing narration to replace the two missing episodes.
Episode 4 of this story is, like episode 1, sadly missing from the BBC archives, but I'm able to fill in some of the gaps. The guards don't discover Jamie, who is helped out of the crate by the Doctor once the guards depart.
With the restoration team's success, the Demons, Terror of the Autons and Doctor Who and the Silurians all became available to buy in their newly recolorised versions.
To launch the 1993 Doctor Who 30th anniversary, BBC Video presents these special commemorative releases, available now.
Packaging became a feature with the 25th anniversary special Silver Nemesis having a silver sleeve. The Trial of a Time Lord season came in a TARDIS tin, and the Chase and Remembrance of the Daleks were presented in a Dalek tin. BBC Video even produced a mini catalogue of all the titles available. UK Gold reached Tom Baker's first episode in August 1993, but there had been no Dalek scene since the channel had launched. Negotiations with Dalek creator Terry Nation were still ongoing to secure rights for broadcast.
But now, be afraid. They're here. The moment we've all been waiting for. William Hartnell stars in Doctor Who and the Daleks. Episode 1, The Dead Planet.
Suddenly, in November, with contracts agreed, we had Daleks on 2 channels.
There is a being, a figure from another planet who came to Skaro in something called a TARDIS.
He's the one known as the Doctor, the greatest enemy of the Daleks.
The intelligent life form?
Oh, yes. A Sparident.
30 years of travelling through time, and who should appear to disappear from your screens? Doctor Who and the Daleks, tonight at 7:30 on BBC One.
They are to be exterminated.
In a few moments on BBC One, Part 3 of Planet of the Daleks, which can only be seen in black and white, as the original colour version no longer exists.
The first time a Doctor Who episode had been shown on BBC One in monochrome since 1969. UK Gold also celebrated the 30-year milestone with a special weekend.
Our Doctor Who weekend starts at 9 AM on Saturday with your favourite Doctor. The most popular companion follows at 11 with the War Games at 1 o'clock. Sunday starts at 10 with your favourite monster. K9 and Company is at 1, and by 1:55, Resistance is useless. A Doctor Who extravaganza.
The competition winners were Tom Baker in Warrior's Gate, K9 in The Horns of Nimon, of which neither had been seen since their first broadcast, and the Sea Devils in Warriors of the Deep. UK Gold continued their repeats until the end of January 1995, which completed the showing of every surviving full story in the archive.
Time for Doctor Who now here on UK Gold, and the final story starring Sylvester McCoy from back in 1989 called Survival. And with rumours that the Spielberg series has been cancelled, it looks as though this could be the last ever Doctor Who story.
BBC Video had also been busy with their release schedule with another 29 new stories and a cabinet to put them all in. But after several prolific years, video releases suddenly stopped with A Hand of Fear in February 1996. Something new was coming.
Planet Earth 1999. He's back, and it's about time.
Who are you?
I am the Doctor! In the fight for eternity.
By midnight tonight, this planet will be pulled inside out.
There can only be one master.
I never liked this planet, Doctor.
Paul McGann is Doctor Who.
Don't panic! Everything is under control!
Monday, the 27th of May on BBC One.
For the first and only time, home media was available before it was shown on British TV.
The tape, which will retail at £14.99, will be available in a number of different limited edition packages from different stores. Woolworths will be offering a glow-in-the-dark sleeve. Cassettes purchased from WH Smith will contain a set of 6 postcards featuring images from the film. The tape will be available across the country on the morning of 15th of May.
Sadly, John Pertwee, star of radio and television, died earlier in the week at the age of 76. For many, he'll be remembered as Doctor Who, a role he played from 1970 to 74 and reprised regularly, only this year completing a Doctor Who story for radio.
I suppose we're due for the monster bit any minute now.
As a tribute, there's now a chance to see everyone's favourite Time Lord in a special Doctor Who omnibus this Sunday.
I am the Doctor.
Doctor Who and Carnival of Monsters, shown as a tribute to the late John Pertwee, Sunday at 11.
Doctor Who fans will soon have another episode to add to their collection. A long-lost instalment of the science fiction show has been discovered in New Zealand. The black and white 16mm film is the first to be found for 7 years. It is the opening episode of a series of 4 called The Crusade and features the first Doctor, William Hartnell.
The missing episode was released in June with its other surviving episode.
This is DVD. It's a movie on a disc the size of a CD. The picture is twice as sharp as VHS. The sound is infinitely clearer. It looks and sounds like you're at the movies, but you can experience it at home. Not to mention, you can watch it in widescreen. Listen to audio commentary. Choose from features like director's notes, behind-the-scenes footage, trailers, and more. DVD. Yeah.
At the time, around 4 million households have purchased a DVD player, and it was obvious this was going to be the way forward. BBC Video started experimenting in November 1999 with the release of several titles, including the Doctor Who special The Five Doctors. BBC Video still continued releasing videotapes until the end of 2003, when the surviving episodes of The Reign of Terror, The Faceless Ones and The Web of Fear were released. It took us 20 years to collect the full set, from the 20th anniversary until the 40th anniversary. But at last we had every episode that was in the archive to watch whenever we wanted. Doctor Who fans were now gradually replacing their worn-out VHS tapes with the vastly superior DVD versions, with restored and cleaned up episodes, along with an array of extras, and of course, the Easter eggs.
A long-lost Dalek episode of Doctor Who has been returned to the BBC by an engineer who rescued the film from destruction in the early 1970s. The episode of The Daleks' Master Plan from 1965 was returned by Francis Watson, who worked at the BBC when episodes were thrown out to make space.
And was released in the Lost in Time DVD set in November. In 2005, Doctor Who finally returned to BBC One. By now, re-watching the show was a lot easier than when it ended in 1989. Episodes were repeated the following day on BBC Three. If you had a Sky Plus box, you could record it for playback at any time. DVDs of the new series were made available within weeks of broadcast.
And you can find out more about the Doctor's most evil enemies from the past, present and future in this new BBC book. And Volume 1 of the current series is now available on DVD.
BBC Video announced that Cosgrove Hall had produced full-length animated versions of the 2 missing episodes of the Cybermen adventure The Invasion. This was the first time that missing episodes had been animated, and along with the existing 6 remastered episodes, made a complete story and was released in November 2006. A year later, BBC launched iPlayer, their video-on-demand platform. But in its infancy, it was nothing more than a catch-up service, showing BBC content from the previous 7 days. The new service launched on Christmas Day 2007, and Voyage of the Damned became the first Doctor Who story to be truly available as video on demand, albeit for only 7 days.
Don't miss out this Christmas. BBC iPlayer lets you watch programmes from the last 7 days on your computer. BBC iPlayer, making the unmissable unmissable.
BBC Video continued releasing DVDs until they started running out of stories to publish, and made the decision to continue animating missing episodes to release full stories. The Reign of Terror was released, including its 2 missing episodes, in January 2013.
In all of time and space, this film is as rare as a Dalek staircase. But these rusting cans hold a universe of wonders unseen for half a century. About 250 episodes of Doctor Who were shown in the 60s when William Hartnell and Patrick Troughton played the Doctor. 108 were missing.
Well, this immediately tells us this is a Hartnell era episode.
Both episodes have Whovians excited. The first, called Galaxy 4, features domed robots called Chumblies, forerunners perhaps of the Doctor's most notorious foe.
What's this fella doing? Going to repair the damage you have done.
And the Underwater Menace is now the earliest surviving episode to feature the second Doctor. All the original black and white films were exterminated due to BBC modernisation long ago. These are copies made for foreign markets.
Why do you want to blow up the world?
Episode 3 of Galaxy 4 was included on the Aztec Special Edition in March 2013, and Episode 2 of the Underwater Menace was released with its other remaining episode in 2015.
9 missing episodes featuring the second Doctor, Patrick Troughton, dating back to the 1960s, have been found in Nigeria. From today, fans can download the episodes. Lizo Mazimba reports on their unexpected reappearance.
Unseen since its first broadcast in 1968.
We've been here so long.
Yes, of course we will, Victoria. You see, whatever's holding us must let go sometime.
One of 9 rediscovered Patrick Troughton episodes. The Doctor's companions were played by Fraser Hines and Deborah Watling.
Hold tight.
Up until now, 106 episodes were thought to be lost. This haul of 9 represents the single biggest discovery of previously missing episodes in the last 25 years. And the BBC restoration team has spent weeks getting rid of 40 years' worth of dirt and damage.
BBC Worldwide made the episodes available to buy on iTunes in October 2013, making the top 10 downloads of the week. Animations of lost episodes were the focus of the final DVD releases. The 10th Planet, with its notoriously missing Episode 4, The Ice Warriors and The Moonbase were all released as complete adventures.
The BBC has announced it is making every episode of Doctor Who made since 2005 available to watch on BBC iPlayer. Ahead of Jodie Whittaker taking up the mantle of the 13th Doctor, all 10 series will be available to watch as box sets, plus every special from the past 13 years of the Doctor's adventures.
A shrewd move, as the audience doubled from Peter Capaldi's final regular episode. The latest opportunity for owning classic Doctor Who started in July 2018, with complete seasons being released on Blu-ray.
We are wanderers in the fourth dimensions of space and time.
Doctor!
He's a Time Lord, I know that.
You're a nice guy, Doctor, but a little weird. That's very odd indeed.
We're caught in a space-time trap! Always search for truth. My truth is in the stars.
On Boxing Day 2019, BBC and ITV-owned streaming platform BritBox launched the largest collection of classic Doctor Who in one place. To celebrate the show's 60th anniversary in 2023, pretty much the whole of the classic series was published on BBC iPlayer.
Come with me.
I'm the Doctor.
Yes.
I'm a Time Lord.
When people need help, I never refuse. Oh.
We're just going on a little trip.
Where?
Wherever you like.
Is it always this dangerous? Run. Oi, watch it, Spaceman.
There are some corners of the universe which have read the most terrible things.
Discover the Whoniverse.
Where do you want to start?
I'm looking for the Doctor.
You've certainly come to the right place.
Fantastic! Only on BBC iPlayer.
Now, 2 missing Doctor Who episodes have been found more than 60 years after they were last seen. Peter Purvis appears in the episodes as the Doctor's assistant, and our reporter Simon Ward has been to surprise him with a special screening.
In 1965, William Hartnell was starring as the first Doctor Who. 2 missing episodes have now been recovered from the estate of a collector by Film is Fabulous, a Leicester-based film charity.
Here at the Phoenix Cinema in Leicester, the actor Peter Purvis thinks he's coming here to talk about making television in the 1960s. In fact, he's going to get a surprise viewing of the missing Doctor Who episodes that he starred in.
It's episode 1 of the Daleks master plan.
Oh, you're kidding.
Which nobody has seen since it was aired for the one and only time.
Oh, boy.
So I'm really sorry, but I thought that would be an okay lie.
Oh, it's a perfect lie. I'm absolutely thrilled.
2 more lost episodes were found and added to iPlayer. Our final totals then. Broadcast 892 episodes. Missing episodes 95, of which 55 have been animated. From virtually no chance of rewatching Doctor Who in the 1960s, every episode from its entire 62-year history can now be watched worldwide on disc, streaming and retail platforms. With professional fan recreations like Mission to the Unknown and superfan Ian Levine's ongoing mission to recreate the missing episodes using AI technology, there's even more to enjoy. And there's still more to come. Another 40 episodes to be animated, and there's at least 2 more lost episodes in private collections. Happy rewatching Doctor Who.
Oh my God. We're still here.